1 p.m. Eastern, Houston Texans 3-13-1, 3-6 on the road last year. Baltimore Ravens 10-7, 5-3 at home last year. We're M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. This is another situation with scattered thunderstorms, so we got to keep our eye on it. 5-mile-per-hour winds. Texans win total is at 6.5. Juice to the under. AFC South 8-1. Then to win the AFC, we go to 100-1, and to win the Super Bowl 175-1. So let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Texans, Ravens. And Jose has put the Cappers contest link there on the chat. Please join us for the Cappers contest. We're extremely excited about it. We're hoping for 200 people. We want a $20,000 prize pool and last year's champ. And Jose did remember the other member of the top 5. It was Drug Monkey RX. Drug Monkey RX, great friend of the show. All right, so here we go. Houston, Baltimore. We have Baltimore as 10-point favorites here. 10-point favorites. That's what they opened at. They opened at 10-point favorites back on May 12th. And at that point, that plus 10 was minus 114. That plus 10 got up to minus 122. It's been juiced pretty heavily a lot. It's not right now. It's very, very slightly juiced, minus 106 to minus 104. That is the plus 10. So really no movement there on the spread. Let's go over to the total for this spot. This Texans-Ravens spot. We're sitting at 44 at Pinnacle. There are 43.5s. This did get down to 43.5 at Pinnacle. So it's gone back up to 44, which is an interesting move. Take a look at the cash flow for this spot. Can't even remember if we did it for the Cardinals Commanders. Oh, yes, we did. Of course we did, yeah. Yeah, for this spot, Texans-Ravens, we have 69% of the tickets, 62% of the cash on the Ravens. So the Texans 31 and 38. From a total side of things, 51% of the tickets and 67% of the cash is on the under. But that's a pretty interesting spot that's moved to 44. Birdie has dropped his action in the chat. I will copy and paste that right now. And Saturated asking if Andrews is going to sit here. Let's pull this all up. Thank you for sharing that with us, Birdie. So here we go. And BJ, Thursday Night Football best bet, E's on the Lions at plus 7. Nice job getting that 7. I got the 6. Texans, Ravens. Let's go. DeMeco Ryans gets his first head coaching job after a great run as DC for the 49ers. In 2017, he was hired by the Niners. Defensive quality control coach, promoted to inside linebackers coach. In 2018, 2021, promoted defensive coordinator when Robert Saleh left. And Ryans brings Bobby Slowick with him from Frisco to be the offensive coordinator. Slowick spent the last 6 seasons with the San Francisco 49ers as the offensive passing game coordinator. So working with Shanahan is going to be a nice piece. For C.J. Stroud, drafted 2nd overall out of Ohio State, who will be starting at quarterback. He's protected by a pretty good offensive line. Laremy Tunsil, Titus Howard, Shaq Mason. He's got Damian Pierce, a great running back to give the ball to. They brought in Devin Singletary. Now, he doesn't have a good wide receiving group to throw to. He has tight end Dalton Schultz, but it's the defense side of the ball where DeMeco Ryans is a mastermind. He brings with him Jimmy Ward. So Jimmy Ward knows the system from San Francisco. And then they draft Will Anderson Jr., 3rd overall out of Bama. He brought in veteran defenders to fortify the defense. Defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, 1-year contract. Linebacker Christian Harris, will be all over the field. This is a good. I do not believe the Texans are tanking. Let me start there. That's been done. I think they're going to get better and better and better until they're a really good football team. And I'm not sure how long that would even take with DeMeco and Slowick in charge. Take it away for us here, Troy. Your thoughts on the Texans?
I agree with you. I think people are kind of selling the Texans short just because of their recent history. It's been pitiful to watch this Texans team, but straight away, I think they have a little something cooking over there in Houston. A lot of the moves they've made are good moves, and they're starting to pull the semblance of a team together. C.J. Stroud is a quarterback that I think fits the profile for a successful quarterback in the NFL. And watching him in the preseason only validated that train of thought. They improved their offensive line, added Shaq Mason, drafted Drew Scruggs, who I think are going to be good pieces. I think that the offensive line is underrated when you start to look at some of the talent that they have on their offensive line. They're projected to be one of the worst, which I don't get. And then they got head coach D'Amico Ryans and Bobby Slowick, who I think, the tandem of those two, I think that the creativity is going to be there from an offensive standpoint and from a defensive standpoint. I really think that they're starting to pull the pieces together in Houston. And I don't know if it's going to be, like you said, obviously they're not going to be great this year, but they're definitely going to start taking strides in the right direction. I really believe that. I think they're starting to, fill the gaps that they were terrible in last year. You touched on the secondary. They added Jimmy Ward. They got Will Anderson, the rookie, who I am really high on. A lot of people aren't, but I think he's going to be make an impact from day one. And I won't get into my pick on this game yet, but I'm starting to lean a certain way.
So am I, actually, and I don't know if I can get there, but I am starting to as well. I think the Texans will provide us with some nice opportunities, but do we want to back CJ Stroud in this first game of his career against the Baltimore Ravens? I mean, that's
in Baltimore, right?
That's very questionable. Ravens total wins at 10.5, juice to the under. AFC North plus 225, AFC plus 1,000, Super Bowl plus 1,800. Lamar Jackson got the bag. Now it's time to show out, or at least play hurt. He's missed 11 games over the past 2 seasons. I get it. It's a dangerous spot, and you want the money, and now he's got the money. John Harbaugh brings in new offensive coordinator Todd Monken, hired by the Georgia Bulldogs the last few years. He was the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach under Kirby Smart, back-to-back national championships. Mark Andrews is playing. I expect him to play. Lamar has a trusted target in Andrews, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, new targets in Odell Beckham Jr. I was shocked that Beckham got that contract. He can prove me wrong, but that was just, to think that Odell Beckham could make it through a 17-game season is laughable. Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar, those are important pickups. Year 2 under DC Mike McDonald, this unit number 3 in defensive DVOA over the second half of the season. Justin Madubuike has gotten better every year. Patrick Queen is in the contract year, and that's a lot of motivation to dominate. He'll line up beside Roquan Smith. Got Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton, who could both make the Pro Bowl this year. They add Jadeveon Clowney and quarterback Ronald Darby. I guess when it comes down to it, I don't know if I can do it, but I certainly am interested in the Texans. But let's hear what you say. Maybe you can push me over the edge. Take it away. What are your thoughts on the Baltimore Ravens, and what are you doing with this game?
I actually think that this line's going to close somewhere under 2 scores. I think it's going to start moving back towards the Texans as we get closer to week 1. So if we're going to bet it, I'm going to move in the next 24 hours probably. The Ravens, I have the Ravens as minus 8.5 point favorites based on my model. When I look at the Ravens, the first thing I start to look at and the first thing I start to consider and remember back to last year is leadership. Lamar Jackson's supposed to be their leader. He's supposed to be that guy. He was the MVP, right? He didn't attend one game in the last 4 or 5 games. He didn't attend the playoff game. And I, as a player, as one of his teammates, looking at that, not seeing him on the sideline, being a part of a playoff football game for this team. I think that, it just kind of breaks your morale as a player that's supposed to be looking up to this guy as your quarterback. I think there's something to be said about that. And instead of really improving the roster in the offseason, they just focused all their attention on re-signing Lamar. I got to be pretty sick of Lamar Jackson by the end of last season with his injuries, and it was just a shit show. Now they are moving from Greg Roman to Todd Monken, and they're supposed to be going from run-oriented offense to pass-oriented offense, but that remains to be seen. And why would you? They built a perfect football team to run the football. Why would you switch it at this point? They have a great offensive line, a mobile quarterback, the most mobile quarterback in the NFL, and Lamar Jackson, who has elite upside, who just makes things so much easier to have elite mobile quarterback, to help the run game out. I think it really is going to be good this year for the Ravens if they stick to it. We'll see what Todd Monken has. As it goes for their defense is going to be elite. What else are you going to expect from the Ravens? But the defensive line is where I have my concerns. PFF has them rated as 26th overall in the NFL. And I think that's just surprising to see that bad of a projection is paired with the Baltimore Ravens. But still, the defense overall is rated to be, above average, no doubt about it. But like we've been talking about, I just think that we're starting to Personally, I'm starting to lean towards the Texans. I see value in it with 2 possessions. And, I think it closes under 10. And let's not forget the Texans' only 3 wins last year were on the road. And I think they got much better in the offseason at all positions. And I think this Ravens team I don't know if they have the connectivity within the organization to become what they could be with this roster.
Interesting. I don't know if I can get there, but I'm certainly going to be thinking about moving on them here. I just don't know what Stroud's going to do, but I love that he's got. I love Damian Pierce. That's a great spot. And then you add Singletary. I'm interested. Fly White Mike liking Ravens first half. Tell me, he didn't just say that. It says pros are going to take Texans at plus 10 or more, so it may bounce back below 10. Yeah, I'm interested in them for sure. Vincent Hawkins saying bet it live to me. That's completely legit comment from Vincent.
That's a good one. Yeah, this would be a good live bet. It should have been.
I'm gonna look at this. I'm gonna I gotta write down the note out here. I'm not that I wouldn't remember it if I didn't write it down, but I'm gonna sit and stare at the Texans here.